Good afternoon. Welcome back to the B&H Virtual Event Space. Today, we're going to help you level up your filmmaking experience. And for that, we have the wonderful team from GoPro here. I'm going to turn it over to them in a second. Ron, you look like you're ready to do like a double backflip off of that desk right there. Tyler's waiting to catch it all on film, and Cohen's just ready to get this thing started. So I'm going to kick it over to the guys here. As always, if you guys do have any questions, feel free to get them in. I do want to announce that we do have a wonderful promo going on. It is live already on the B&H website. So Danny's going to get that dropped in there. We got some free stuff for you if you do purchase either the Hero 12 Black, Hero 11 Black, Hero 12 Creator, Hero 11 Creator. If I missed anything, Cohen, I'm sure you're going to clean that up. I think we have like the mini going as well. So I'm not in sales, and I really don't have a face for radio. And yeah, I'm going to turn it over to these guys. I'm going to see you in a bit for some Q&A. So please, guys, if you do have any questions, get them in. I'll turn it over to Team GoPro. Thanks, you guys, for joining us.
Oh, Derek, thanks so much for having us. We are excited to be here. What an opportunity. And I mean, what a cool topic we get to talk about today. So before we jump into this, just quick intro. I'm Cohen Summers. I'm the Director of Global Education and Training here at GoPro. We host a lot of these live streams and help you guys level up your GoPro knowledge and experience to get the most out of everything we're doing. And I'm going to let my counterpart introduce himself, and then we'll kind of jump into like our special guest and the cool stuff we're going to be talking about today.
Yo, what's up, everybody? My name is Ron, and fun fact, I'm sitting all the way on the other side of the planet in Singapore. So, what's up?
Yeah, and last but not least, just down the road from me out here in San Diego, we have the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Tyler Jordan.
Hello, everyone.
What up, Tyler?
Well, cool. Yeah, we're really excited to, for what we've got planned today. We've got a cool slideshow to kind of give us some great visuals because, man, it's GoPro. Nothing better to highlight some of the incredible videos and photos that really, have changed the game in the way that people can capture with the immersive perspectives and the unique angles. And as you can see today, that's really what we're here to talk about is how do we level up your video and videography and photography, and really give you guys some tips and tricks on how to maximize with your GoPro. We've got Tyler here today with us to dive deep into the power of perspective. We're going to talk about some different shooting tips and tricks. And then, of course, we are here to answer all of your questions, GoPro related and more. But before we jump into Tyler's part of the presentation, for those that haven't used a GoPro, haven't seen what the new GoPro is all about, this year's flagship camera, the Hero 12 Black, just truly takes it to a whole nother level. And Ron's going to give you guys a quick highlight of what makes this camera so special.
All right, thank you so much for that, Cohen. So for those of you who just bought your camera, here's a quick download of the Hero 12 Black. This is Hero 12 Black, the latest flagship camera that GoPro has to offer. While Hero 12 Black might sport that same form factor as its predecessor, it is an entirely new camera altogether. And here is why. Not just because of that amazing blue speckled design that we have, but the addition of the Q20 tripod mount at the bottom allowed GoPro to re-engineer the entire internals of the camera, and the result, more power efficiency and a ton of new features made. So on screen, as you guys will see, this is just a summary slide of high-level features that we've added on the camera. There are tons of YouTube videos and helps that are already out there. So if you want to learn more, be sure to check them out. Three things that I do want to call out, and I think it's so important as new users to know about the Hero 12 Black, is that number one, in terms of its image quality, we are delivering pro-level image quality and sound right out the gate. What can you expect? You can expect HDR video from the camera. And for the pro users out there, we have an entire new color profile called GP Lock that allows you to shoot in a lock color profile. Another thing that I do really want to call out is that I think it's still very revolutionary. And Cohen, I don't know about you, but I don't see any other cameras using it in the market. It's the new 8:7 aspect ratio that we are doing in our camera. And because of the 8:7 aspect ratio, we are able to optimize that same shot across various platforms, whether that be widescreen in 16:9 or the tall vertical format in 9:16. Tyler's definitely going to share more tips and tricks in terms of how he uses the full sensor. But one of the last features that I really love, and I think GoPro makes it so easy to capture, it's the night effects. So with night effects, GoPro has added 3 amazing presets that can help you capture the night sky, be it star trails, vehicle lights, as well as light painting. All of these presets, just to give you guys a context, it's already baked into the camera. All you got to do, set the camera up, make sure the camera is in a stationary position, hit the shutter button, and the camera does magic. How about that, Cohen? What do you think? What is your favorite feature on the camera?
I mean, I am been a huge fan of specifically the star trails within the night effects. I mean, I'm a big outdoor camping guy, and last thing I have the time for now that I've got a baby and we're taking her camping is to throw my full frame camera up there, set it all up to be able to take thousands of photos, and then come home and have to spend all the time stacking all those photos, editing all those photos.
Absolutely.
To get something like we see here. And what I love is literally in the morning when I'm drinking coffee, I can pull that GoPro, put a new battery in there, and I will have it ready to post, already stacked, already stitched. It's really incredible how easy it's taking some of those things that we used to have a lot of gear and equipment, or have a lot of technical knowledge and experience to be able to execute. So, but what I'm really excited about here is we'll quit talking about Hero 12, because we've got a really special guest with us today. For those that don't know Tyler B. Jordan, shame on you. He is a world-renowned known videographer and photographer. He actually comes to us as a 2-time $1 Million Challenge winner. For those that haven't participated in that event, it's an open contest we run for anybody in the world that has purchased the latest camera, and they can submit a photo or video. We split $1 million between the winners, and depending on how many people, could be 18, could be 26, they take the portion of that cash home. And Tyler has been lucky enough to be a multi-time winner, which there are very few of those. I mean, that's a pretty unique club to be in. And not to mention, on his day-to-day, he is a professional videographer and photographer, but happened to fall in love, kind of using his GoPro. And would love Tyler to kind of give a little bit, of his story, how he got involved with GoPro. And then from here, we'll kind of jump into what we'll talk about today.
Thanks, Cohen. So one of my first introduction into GoPro was when I had a child. My wife and I had a child, so we were looking for something that was really rugged and durable, can go in the water. And that was how I first bought my first GoPro. And this is the first shot that introduced me to the company. And Cohen, you can actually probably talk more about this particular thing here.
Yeah. So, first of all, like when I got to meet Tyler for the first time, like, oh my gosh, you're the guy in our office mural. You're this guy that we put on our packaging. And when we released a camera called the Hero 3 Plus, we actually came out with a couple different bundles. And one of those was the music bundle. We had a special mount, put it on your guitar. We had a mount that you could put on your drum kit. And this had special packaging. And Tyler's photo that you see here was the image that was actually submitted and selected. And Tyler will forever be the Hero 3 Plus Black Music Edition bundle, package, photo package image. So it's pretty cool to see, we are user generated. Like our best, videographers and photographers are you, because we're not going to get anything more authentic, more unique than all the people out in the world. And at that time, it was a new use case, and it was just what a cool perspective and what a cool immersive angle that it would be really hard to capture with the traditional, camera. And obviously it's what led to GoPro choosing this to be on its packaging.
And that's what's so exciting about using this camera, is it's so small, and that wide angle lens mixed with the small size means that it opens up so many new opportunities for perspective and exciting new angles. And this is going to be something that we're going to be talking about quite a bit here today.
Yeah. And I mean, Tyler, here's a couple great images. And I know that you and Ron have, and we've been kind of talking about these things back and forth, Ron, God, these images are so beautiful, and the perspective, the framing, I mean, jump right in.
Yeah, I mean, Tyler, one of my favorite things about, as we chat about today's workshop, is just trying to dig into your mind to see how do you think about composing such image. And I think we have 2 amazing shots that you have here that are super popular. Walk us through, what can we expect from today's workshop? What are you going to share with us?
Well, the first thing is we're going to be talking a little bit about how I work with talent, and also how I look at a shot and and see how I'm going to get the most exciting perspective I can. And a lot of this is what I always look for is trying to figure out a way to make the audience wonder, how did you get that shot? How, where's the drone? Where's the pole? And so I think that's probably one of the biggest goals for me sometimes, is trying to figure out a way to make someone just wonder how. I think that's probably my favorite word that I hear from other people is how. How the heck did you get that shot, through the legs around, around your son he's on a log on a lake. How are you getting that perspective, And so that's something that I'm always looking for. When I arrive at a scene, I examine the scene first. I take a look at it, try to figure out, how can I take this to the next level? How can I hide the camera? How can I hide the pole? How can I hide, obviously here I'm not using a drone. This is a camera on a pole. And what's cool is I'm framing all of that to where my feet are just outside the frame at all times. So if the camera was moved over just an inch, you would see that I'm standing right there on the beach, So I'm always trying to figure out ways to just make it a mystery to people how shots are captured.
Yeah, that's amazing, Tyler. And I think it's also a very good point to note. I mean, where we all know that GoPro traditionally takes video, Tyler is probably one of the experts and wizards when it comes to GoPro photography. So, Tyler, I mean, that personally for me, I am super excited to hear what you have to say about GoPro photography tips, because myself, I love to take GoPro photos as well. So take it away, my friend.
And it's an incredibly capable camera. As a matter of fact, sometimes I'll have my mirrorless Nikon with me as well as my GoPro, and sometimes I'm pretty disappointed with what I'm getting out of my mirrorless as opposed to what the GoPro sees. It just has this magic to that wide angle lens, and they go anywhere. Like I was saying earlier about, you can put the camera in really unique situations and positions. And so, like, I've been on Instagram meetups with 20, 30, 40 other photographers, and everybody's kind of getting the same shot with their mirrorless camera. But that unique small size and that wide angle with the GoPro allows me to put it in positions inside rocks. I can get these really cool cave shots. Like this particular shot right here that you just saw with the cave in the lifeguard tower. That's a little ledge in that rock that's only about maybe 6 to 8 inches tall, but the small size of the camera and the perspective of that ultra wide lens makes it look as if the camera is in a cave. And so you're not going to see many shots that are like that when you're using a larger form camera.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's like one of the topics that you'll kind of dive deeper into is this perspective. And I think this is a great way for us to transition into talking about that first point that you have, is like, how do you make it a cave? Like, I mean, I love this topic. I think it's really cool. So can you take us into like, what do you mean by make it a cave? And what do you mean by perspective?
Yeah. All right. So it's really easy. So let's step forward real quick, Ron. This is actually, well, this is more of a tall ledge too. This is probably the closest to a real cave in all these shots that are coming up as you're going to see. This is, pretty well overhead. It's a popular spot here in San Diego at Sunset Cliffs. But if we move forward a little bit, you'll see some of the smaller caves that I'm talking about. These are little openings between rocks, and you put that little tiny camera in there, and with the wide angle lens, it makes the smallest opening. I'm talking down to about 6 to 8 inches, maybe a foot wide between rocks, and makes it look like a giant cave. So keep going real fast. You can see I'm setting up this shot. This is that ledge that I was talking about earlier in the reef, where it's too small to put a large format camera in there, but putting a little GoPro in there creates this cave look. Now, if I wasn't standing there, it makes that cave look a lot bigger, as you can see. I mean, there's like, I'm in there for reference, but after that, now you've got this really cool framing that happens with these rocks. So move on to the next one. This one right here, this is probably the most classic example of using the small size to solve an issue. This was on an Instagram meetup with a bunch of other photographers. The weather wasn't really cooperating. You can see that it's kind of gray out there. A lot of the other photographers were shooting shots of the pier in the background, And it's kind of that typical shot you see in San Diego. Everybody's seen it a million times. It's the Scripps Pier. So because of the weather and because everybody was kind of shooting the same thing, I'm there with my GoPro and I'm looking for something that's going to make my image stand out and be different, because I know the next day everybody's going to be posting their photos on Instagram and we're going to see a lot of the shots from this particular day from our group. So I found this pile of rocks and there's this little tiny opening, and I used the Quick app with connected to my camera so I could see what my framing was. And I just set my camera in these rocks. And I'm telling you, that opening in that rock was just a little bit bigger than the camera. And I just set the camera in there. I got my framing. I figured out, okay, there's a ledge over there. I think I'm going to go stand on that. And I just shot a time-lapse photo, put the
Boom.
GoPro into time-lapse photo raw mode. So it's taking photos over a time period. Walked over there, stood on top of that, and then ended up getting this shot. And it's so unique compared to anything else that was shot that day because of that small form factor.
And
Yeah.
Tyler, I think you bring up a good point of a use case of time lapse. I mean, there's a lot of ways that you could have accomplished taking this photo with a GoPro. You could have used the voice control, you could have used one of our remotes or even your iPhone to do it. But why do you like to use the time lapse mode as your option instead of like maybe taking a single photo or trying to leverage one of the other ways to capture that? Why is time lapse raw at a duration your go-to for these type
And
of
well,
shots?
in this particular case, I wanted to have a variety of shots from which to choose from, because maybe the clouds will move a little bit in the time period that I'm standing over there. And maybe I'll like a particular formation in those clouds better at this point as opposed to the point that was a little bit earlier. So sometimes I just like to have a variety of shots from which to choose from. But you're right. I mean, I could have even used the Quick app to take that shot real fast.
But
So
like you
move
said, it's nice to have some options and then not have to go back and fish
right.
that thing out and look at the
Yeah.
back, look at the screen again. You can just fire away and know that you captured the gold.
Yeah. Move to the next one, Ron, real fast. This is another one that's really cool to talk about. So this is Valley View in Yosemite. It's probably the most photographed place on the entire planet. And I'm there with a bunch of photographers, and we're getting the shot that everybody sees from this location. But I have my GoPro and I have my extension pole, so I'm looking at ways to where I can do something a little bit unique. There's a log that's out on the Merced River here, and there was a little gap right behind it where I could put the camera down inside there and just see what happens. And I did the same thing. I think I just put it on time-lapse photo raw, stuck it down in that hole. I don't even think I was looking at it with the app. I was just putting it down there, and I was going to be surprised at what I could capture. And when I pulled the camera back up and reviewed my images, I see this and I was like, oh, I've never seen that before. I've never seen this framing before in this cave look that we've got, which I just feel like that is a huge advantage to carrying this little camera around.
Well, I think also too, just the size, right? I mean, not only like can you put it in these places, it also means it only takes up that much space in your bag. And
Yeah.
like you said, with having your son, like where we just had a baby and the amount of stuff I have to pack now, it's like I'm packing house anywhere I go. And like a lot of times now it is my full frame camera and my drone and things that I just leave behind. And it's always nice to know like the GoPro can fit in my pocket, let alone like I've always got room for it somewhere in my bag. So
Yeah, and
Yeah.
smaller is better, especially in Yosemite, but some of these hikes are pretty steep. So you're carrying a lot of heavy gear and a couple prime lenses and a zoom, and your bag starts to weigh heavily on you in this particular situation. So if you can carry a light bag with just a little camera in it, that's a huge benefit.
Sick.
Absolutely.
Tyler, I love the silhouette and composition, man. I think making that cave here really brings out that gem in Yosemite.
Mhm. And it doesn't always have to be a natural formation. Like this is here in Balboa Park in San Diego. Just looking for unique ways to see something that's been photographed a million times.
Yeah,
How can we get in and see something with a cool framing that just stands out and makes it a little bit unique, you know?
love it, love it. Amazing.
And then this is an example of using this in video where you don't expect to go through this railing like this. And that's that small form factor, using that to your advantage again.
And then you're just using the Max, and then are you just reframing this using GoPro Player or in Premiere?
Yep.
Oh, that's so cool. Where was this?
Yeah.
Was this when
This
you went
was
to
in
Taiwan with
this was
Johnny?
in Taiwan on Sun Moon Lake. Beautiful, beautiful.
Nice.
Looks like you
Amazing
had hit it
conditions.
on a perfect day.
Yeah. Yeah. The
Sick.
elements were great. But I love anytime I go someplace, I'm always like, if I go on vacation and I go to a hotel, the first thing I look for at a hotel is for railings, small gaps, holes. Sorry, my parrot's in the other room squawking. Hopefully you guys can't hear that, but
You have a
but
parrot?
I'm always looking for really cool railings and things that I can put the camera through. Just so, or maybe I'll do a time lapse or a hyperlapse, and I'll go through railings and stuff. And when people watch that, they wait, how did you go through that and not kill yourself? You know, because I'm handing myself the pole, going through, and it's the same kind of thing here. It's so fun, and I always have to tell everybody that when I'm doing this kind of shooting, I always make the noises like I was a little kid with my X-Wing fighter flying through the trenches and everything. So sometimes people think I sound like a little kid when I'm running around with my camera. So
It's a rocket ship.
yeah, sound effects
What
are
color
always part
what
of the
color
deal.
lightsaber would you be? A green, blue, purple?
I like blue.
Okay.
I would do that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Classic Obi-Wan style, huh?
Yeah, yeah. Luke
Sick.
is
So
green,
sick.
right? So I would just leave that. I'd leave the green one to Luke.
Yeah. Save the world.
Yeah.
All right, Tyler, as we move on, share with us what actually goes through your mind. Because I know you wrote here and you put it on screen for us to immerse your audience, but what goes through your mind as you start to frame up the scene? You know, I know you said that, you know, when you're going to hotels and places, you're looking for railings and holes. But when you wrote this tip for us, immerse your audience, what do you mean by that?
Well, I think if you can come up with a perspective that's exciting and new, it brings people into your world in a new way. And my son's building this giant thing out of these little blocks that he has. And the first thing I see, as because we're talking about this small camera form factor, putting it in small places or in small caves, as I'm standing there helping him build this, first thing I'm thinking is, I think I can put my camera in there.
Yeah. Dude, that composition here is sick. You know, that leading line really draws you into the image. It feels like, oh my God, you know, am I being put into this image? How am I even looking at this shot? So I
Yeah.
think it's a really, really cool shot.
Yeah, and it's just fun. He's playing with his toys and I'm playing with mine, you know, like putting my camera in there, you know. So we're having a good day. We're having a play date together. I didn't have to make
Nice.
sound effects here because I'm not moving the camera, you know. I felt like that would probably cramp his style a little bit, but
I think more you're like super focused not to, you know, tip over the tower there. Look at that
yeah,
face. Look
like
at
Let
how
you
me
can
focused
tell
let
by
you
me
my
are.
hand. I'm
let me
like,
get my
I'm
camera in
not
there.
gonna knock this over.
Let me squeeze that camera right there.
Yeah. And then it becomes kind of almost like that game Operation where you're trying as hard as you can not to touch anything, but slide the camera in that little space there, you know?
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah.
And this is that classic shot, you know, be in the moment. Have, you know, I'm using a chesty here with the camera attached to my chest. I don't have to worry about it. I can just set it running and I can enjoy my day and I don't have to worry about what the camera is capturing because it's capturing almost everything. And it just frees us up to live our life and enjoy it.
And that's
Yeah, and
the
I
whole
think
purpose
that's
of going hands-free, right?
Yeah.
Right?
exactly.
Going hands-free,
Yeah.
letting your audience see what you see. And I think this is one of those perspectives that got GoPro really on the map with that POV classic type shot. And
Mhm.
yeah, this is just bringing it home.
Yeah, and I think, you know, as you see this too, what I love about this is, you know, back to Tyler's point about being in the moment is I now get to, instead of like my dad growing up, my dad's never in anything, right? He's always but the one that was behind the camera. Is now I get to be in the photos, I get to be in the videos, and you actually also get to experience it as if you were me, or in this case, like Tyler. And I think that's something for our generation that is revolutionary, that, you know, we get to create and share in a way that like former generations just didn't have a technology like that. And it's, you know, something that can fit in our pocket, which is pretty cool.
And on top of
Yeah.
that, some of the experiences that we're fortunate enough to have, not everybody has those opportunities. So for people to be able to watch this online is kind of cool, it goes
Yeah,
back to that
exactly.
Barakiwi's line about you're ordinary as someone else is extraordinary. Like this place is only a few miles from my house, but not everybody gets to go here and experience this. So I think it's kind of cool that we get to share this online.
Or people like me that get vertigo, and I'm gonna just like have the worst time
Yeah,
ever on
that
that thing.
too.
So this is about my max right here.
Yeah, my wife and my son and I are into roller coasters. So
I love it. So
Let's
cool.
go to Cedar Point.
yeah, except we got to go to Ohio to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, hang
maybe
out
some,
with the Cavaliers or something.
maybe someday.
Yeah.
Sick. And I mean, I just want to do a quick call out as well for some of those users out there who are wondering, if you're going to do an activity, should you shoot video or photo? That's often a very popular question that we get asked a lot. And like what Tyler has shown here, if you shoot a video in a high resolution, you are actually able to export a high resolution frame grab from that particular video. So using the Quick app, that allows you to pull a frame grab up to 24.7 megapixel, which is massive. If you're shooting in the 5.3K 8:7 aspect ratio, you can pull a 24.7 megapixel photo right off the video. So think of it as an unlimited burst mode, unlimited composition technique that allows you to find that perfect frame for your shot.
That's a good point too, because in years past, it's either video, I'm always in the video mode, or I'm in the
Or just
photo
photo.
mode in RAW, and it's one or the other because I have to
One or
have
the other.
RAW to be able to do all my adjustments. And nowadays with the 8.7, the 5.3K 8.7 mode, I'm able to pull really high quality stills out of my video. And so I'm using that probably about 80% of the time. If I know that I'm in a
Nice.
spot where I'm never going to see this again, or I've got the greatest sunset, or I've got a really incredible dynamic range because I'm in a cave and I've got bright lights outside of that cave, then I'll put it in RAW and get the best out of it. But for ordinary everyday use, but even they're really good imagery, like something like this is just taken straight out of the video,
Sick.
and it frees me
Amazing.
up to not have to worry about switching modes while I'm on vacation.
I mean, especially on a roller coaster, right? How are you gonna change mode? Like, are you gonna be like passing like, oh my god, let me get into the photo mode?
Yeah. Well, that takes all the fun out
Is
of it
it
right
is it
there. When I have
is
to,
it recording?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So it's just be in the moment, let it roll, and then you get your shot. And that's what I love about it as well. I definitely resonate with that. Yeah. And Tyler, talk me through this shot. I didn't want to ask you when I was offline, but when I first saw this shot, I was like, oh my god, like where were you? Like,
This is in a
talk me through.
submarine. My son's coming through into this room in the submarine, and we've got all this
Oh,
incredibly complex machinery all around us, and that's really cool light. And so what I'm going to talk about this coming up in the deck too is getting low. When you get low, you're able to incorporate all of this stuff, especially if you have points of interest above you. Getting low means you get a much more dramatic shot out of it. So here I'm
yeah.
probably laying on my side, looking up, trying to get all of this in while he's walking through. And I think it just lends itself to being a really dramatic and exciting looking image.
And the color and contrast, right? From the cool blue environment to that warm tones that your sun is coming up from the hole. I think
Yeah.
that contrast from that shot is spot on. Banger.
And I lucked out. You've got a matching hose in there that matches the color of the room that he's coming out of, which I thought was really cool.
Exactly, yeah.
I think they
It's
put
like
that there on purpose.
framing. Yeah,
Perfect shot.
they knew about photography for sure.
Yeah.
They knew about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Moments
then
like
this is
this.
just, as dads, we've all been there. We've all embarrassed our kid by going too hard down the trail. And I just think, having the ability to still be in the moment and point the camera, like Cohen was saying, point the camera back at yourself and get you in the shot.
Yeah.
And, any one of us who've done this activity with their kid is immediately remembers the moment that, they had with their child and what that was like. So this is all about just being close to the action and being in the action. It's almost the viewer is in this action with us.
Yeah, and what's neat is
classic
like these are
selfie.
those moments that like, you know, we're gonna also want to remember. And you know, in the previous, maybe we see again an angle from somebody taking with their phone, or you know, at the top of the hill. But I would have loved to have a picture like this with my dad, you know, from back in the day. And it's just so cool that like again, you know, we turn it back around on ourselves and really get in on it and preserve this moment right before. I'm assuming if it's like me, like I just become like the giant crash pad to you know, prevent my daughter from, you know, having any bumps and bruises, and dad's just going to end up like I got in a car wreck. So
Oh yeah, I've got a lot of those videos. Usually I just end up with a face full of snow. It's on my mouth, and yeah, it's all good.
yeah, it's soft.
Wow.
It's so sometimes.
Sometimes.
Very cool.
And another shot where it's just you know, you imagine yourself in this location. You know, this is that iconic Waikiki shot, but just with the, you know, the over under and seeing the, you know, the water cutting the line through the you know, the surface of the water there, and it just makes it a unique POV angle, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I think that's
speaks
what's
of
sweet, you
photography.
know, with the camera being waterproof to 33 feet. It's nice to know that like you don't need anything extra. Just take the camera out and go for a swim and just pop the lens. I mean, do you have any tips though for like when you're doing these over under kind of half out, half in, like that's worked for you to kind of get both underneath and above the water to be so clear without having to
Always,
use like one of
yeah,
those big domes?
always keep the lens clean. I use a lot of saliva on the dome itself. We don't have to do that with the GoPro anymore, which is great because it has that the hydrophobic lens. But with the dome, I put a lot of saliva on it, and then always keep the dome underwater, and only lift
Yeah,
it right when you take the shot and put it back down. Because I found that if you keep it out of the water for too long, you'll probably ended up getting drops, no matter how much saliva you got on there. You're always going to run into that possibility.
that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Cohen, I figured out a nice little tip. You can actually shoot in high frame rates, and then with that, you can actually pick a frame that doesn't have water droplets. So I found that 4K
Mm.
120 in the vertical, when you orientate your camera vertically, gives you this really tall shot. And then when you place it near the surface, even without the dome, you might luck out and get this amazing half and half shot if you don't have the capability to buy a dome. So
Now I
that's
know
another
what I'm
tip
going to
straight off
try.
the
I'm
jam.
going to try that
Yeah,
out myself.
4K 120. I mean, if you
Yeah.
don't get the dome shot, you still see really cool waves and all, so that's cool as well.
Well, the other kind of cool thing about just using the GoPro and not the dome is sometimes the surface creates a really cool effect.
Yeah,
Um,
surface tension.
it's almost like a cloud type effect through the middle, and that can work out with you for you if you have a really intricate, colorful pattern underneath with something colorful along the top, and it can create a really cool abstract. But you see what you're looking at, but that line through the middle has a cool look to it. So there's there's advantages to not having a dome too sometimes.
Yeah, 100%, man. 100%. This classic shot.
Another example of being hands-free and just living in the moment, having fun with my son, and just being in the moment. You know, this is what it's like on the teacups.
And
Fast,
I love it
fast as
because it
possible.
shows motion, right? It shows
Yeah.
motion because you see this motion blur in the background. Maybe walk us through, Tyler. How do you create this effect? Because we all know that GoPro has a fixed aperture and focal length, but how do you create this motion blur effect?
Well, the great thing is you can take the lens cover off and you can replace the lens cover on the Hero 12 with an ND filter. And so for this, I
Yeah,
think I had an ND,
60.
yeah, 16. I think it probably was. I'm trying
Yeah,
to look back on this. I think it was 16, just to give it that blur effect and slow down the shutter a little bit. Put it on auto shutter and have it slow down.
very cool, very cool. And I found what helps as well if you're using, and for those who are using ND filter, if you lower your ISO as well, that also kind of helps create this oozy effect. Yeah. And if it's a bright day, you might also want to bump down your EV comp to negative zero point 0.5. So
Yeah,
very
that's a
cool.
good tip. Yeah, because if you have your ISO max at 1600 or something like that, it'll compensate
Yeah.
for that. You won't get as much blur. So that's
Bring
good.
it all
Exactly.
down to 100. 100.
Yeah, artificially tell it what to do without it's auto magically, you know, adjusting it for you for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, go back one real fast. And this is one of my favorite shots. This is Kelly Reeves. She's a professional volleyball player, and I got to shoot with her a couple times. And one of the things that I had this idea, if you figure out a way that can attach the GoPro to the volleyball, so when she's serving, we can see this really cool perspective. And it took a little time to get this shot because when you add the camera to a ball, it changes the weight. And so it took some trial and error, but she was a trooper and we got it done. But it was so cool. And for this, I shot in burst mode. This is a still shot. So if you go forward one more frame, this is what we
Yeah,
got when we switched it over to video.
sick.
And
I
that
love
is
it.
just one of my favorite shots I've ever captured. It's just such a
Very
cool,
cool.
unique view that you don't see ever, you know?
Even the framing, right? The framing of that shot, makes it feel like, what it feels like to be a ball and getting like palmed.
Yeah. I was so happy when
Very
I
cool.
saw this. Same thing here.
Yeah.
So this is an example of, okay, maybe you're not working with a professional athlete. Maybe you don't have access to a professional volleyball player, but you're on vacation on a cruise
Thanks.
ship with your son and shuffleboard is available. So this is a video of what that looks like when you just put an adhesive mount on the shuffleboard. I think it's called a, I can't be sure, and just put the GoPro on it and see what you get. And it's such a cool, unique perspective that you can get with
And
the
I
tool.
love how stabilized it is as well, Tyler.
Yeah,
Your son just throwing it across the whole hallway and the shot stays leveled and stabilized. It's really
yeah.
cool shot. As it's like revealing the location of where you guys are. I love it.
Yeah, I think that's one of the coolest things. On top of making caves and getting low and having perspective and everything else, but being able to mount the camera to really unique locations and
Objects.
perspectives is
Yeah.
really it's really huge, and it makes it so much more fun for us as creators when we're used to just okay, I got to get this shot and I got to get low. What's my
You
perspective
gotta
going to be?
hold the camera. Yeah.
And I don't, yeah, and you don't even have to hold the camera. I'm standing back behind him, just standing there with my arms up, like, here it
Yeah.
goes,
Action. Let's go.
Yeah. So I'm
Look at
I'm
you,
not doing anything. The camera's doing all the work here. It's
the
just
director of
having the thought,
photography.
having
I
the
know you just needed to
creativity.
have a beer or margarita in your hand or something.
Oh,
That's what you're
no.
missing.
That's probably coming up right after I saw the shot to celebrate, right?
Right, that's it. It's a wrap.
Yeah. But it's so, it's awesome just to be able to put your camera in a really, in a place that nobody expects it to be. I love this kind of thing.
Yeah,
So
like this.
getting low
Right.
is what I tell everybody, and it doesn't matter what kind of camera you're using. Low is going to help you in so many ways. But when you have a really wide angle and you have a GoPro, you can take advantage of some of the objects around you. And when you get into a low perspective like this, I mean, you get to see all these leading
On the
lines.
bench.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just put the GoPro on a bench and you
And
got the light reflecting off it in a big circle, and
very cool.
it makes it a better shot than just kind of standing off to the side, getting what you normally would probably get in a situation like this.
Very cool. Getting low. Getting
Yeah.
low.
And then you got rocks here. Everything is kind of just leading you into the shot. And oh man, yeah. Get low. And I'm going to show coming up here, I'm going to show you the difference between how people often shoot with their cameras as opposed to getting low and how that can be an advantage. This is an example, real quick. This is an example of that effect of not having a dome along the bottom there. You see
Yeah.
how I sometimes that's a really cool look. And I think it's cool here because it has like this crystallized, almost imaginary kind of vibe to it, which I think is really cool with those sun rays in the background. And so not having a dome in this case, I thought was better. I think if I had a dome here, I don't think the shot would be as cool.
And Tyler, I love that you are shooting directly into the sun and the picture is not blown out. And that for me is one that continues to wow me, especially when I'm using my GoPro shooting at the golden hour. I have my selfie with the sun in the back and I'm still able to see my face and I'm still able to see the foreground, the background, and the overall balance exposure. It's just phenomenal. And like you said, this shot, amazing.
And it's really easy to exposure lock with a Hero 12 as well. You can just put your finger down and hold it down over your highlights to make sure you're not blowing anything out.
Yeah, just as you do with your phone. Yeah, so there's a shot.
Same thing here. Seascapes are almost always going to be low. I try to get some kind of a foreground interest here. This is another situation where I'm using a
ND.
neutral density filter, so I can get, this, the long exposure waves coming through.
I love this shot. Feels like
This
you're
might be my
holding a
favorite. This might be my favorite
hourglass or
shot.
bottle.
So
This
this one is really
silhouette
cool
making a
because
cave.
this really showcases what can change when you get really low. So this is not a canyon. It's not a slot canyon. This is just two rocks at the beach and I'm standing on the other side of it. I put the camera pretty much on the sand, pointed up, and because of the wide angle, it makes everything look so much bigger than it really is. So go to the next shot real fast. Those are the same two rocks. Now,
No way.
it's a different season. So there's a little more sand in this part of the season, but it's still the same two rocks, and my son's jumping over them. That is
Same
not,
location.
it is not a
Wow.
canyon. It's just a couple rocks on the beach. And so that shows that power of getting low and showing and using that wide angle lens to create a really big composition with your perspective.
This is like a cumulative of all your tips, right? Making a cave, immerse your audience, and getting low. It's all in one. This is what it looks like in a picture. I love it. I love it. Very cool. Very cool.
And you can be your own talent, because I'm assuming that was you in your photo too, like you didn't have to hire a second person.
That's me. That's just, and luckily the tide was low, so I don't have to worry about the wave rushing in and taking my camera when I'm walking. It's always important. Yeah, that's the risk that we take sometimes.
Yeah, because the camera's so small, right?
Yeah, yeah. Well, the other cool thing about it though is because it's waterproof and there's a light on it, sometimes it's easy. Like if a wave comes in and grabs it, you can still find it because it's illuminated at this time of night.
Nice.
Yeah.
And Tyler, walk us through this. You mentioned it briefly earlier, but what is it about this shot here?
So my wife took the photo on the left with her phone, and when she took it, she just wasn't happy with it. And I'm standing behind her when she took the shot. And she goes, "Hey Tyler, can you come and get this shot real fast with the GoPro? I'm not certain I'm capturing what I want out of this." So this is the difference between how most people shoot a shot with their phone or even with a mirrorless or any other type of camera, point and shoot. People are always shooting from eye level. But if you get lower, you can make something much more dynamic and really interesting. And so the difference here is eye level on the left and get low and close with a GoPro on the right. And you can see that's a dramatic difference. Same exact shot.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely love it. I mean, whether the composition, you get so blown out with all that white and that snow, and you bring all that beautiful blue sky and just add so much more depth to what you're trying to show. Plus, look, it's the shot of it's just so much more immersive because it's again doesn't feel like it's shot from far away. It feels like you're literally at the fingertips.
And as we know, as product photographers, getting low on a product creates your hero shot. And so I created my son's hero shot here, getting low and making him look larger than he is in this shot. And in the other shot, you're kind of looking at the background and the slopes and whatever's going on back there. But in this shot, then he becomes the star.
Nice. Love it. Yeah, getting low. Wow.
Yeah. And then just using that unexpected movement through small little sections and openings, right? It's just that unexpected what am I going to see next? And I always want my videos to be like that. What are we going to see in this one? What kind of camera angle are we going to get? Where's the camera going to go? That's going to be really unexpected. This is really
unexpected. I love this. And you are using an RC car, is that right, Tyler? You're putting in an RC car and letting it rip.
Well, here's why. I can't keep up with these guys. So yeah. And then we attached the GoPro
adhesive.
Wow.
Yeah. Using the adhesive to stuck it on the SD on the car. Very cool.
Yeah. Yeah. And it changes everything, you know, and this is an example. Okay, I'm talking about getting low, right? All these other things before that are about getting low and creating those dynamics of the ground coming at you or going away from you in a way to like create that element of speed and excitement. But sometimes you can do that pointing downward too. But if you can add an element into that upper level, like the balloons here with Sarah, it changes that. And now all of a sudden you can get a really cool dynamic shot with something of interest in there with the matching balloons and the dress. It really makes that top-down shot work better.
Yeah, I'm getting low from the top. Huh.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
Same
just like
thing
this
here.
shot
You know,
I
you've got this
like, yeah, on
really
the bridge.
cool suspension bridge. This is at the Sun Moon Lake in Taiwan again. And just putting the camera up so it's threading that needle between these suspension wires. It just creates that really exciting um uh feeling of motion through something in the
Almost feels like a drone. Were you cycling alongside Johnny,
yeah.
or how was this being shot?
Yeah,
Or
so
were
I've
you
got the
running
I've got
behind?
the I've got the GoPro Max on an extension pole, and I'm just riding right behind her and then doing a crane shot with the extension pole,
Wow,
slowly
I
lowering
love
it
it.
down as I'm going through. There it is, extension pole.
Yeah, very
On
cool.
demand
Very,
right
very,
there.
very cool.
Yeah.
On demand. Love it. Well, Tyler, I think thank you so much for sharing all those 3 tips with us. I mean, I think the audience really enjoyed it. I've seen some questions in that we were going to take very shortly, but as we start to get the audience to start populating questions into the chat, now that you've shared these tips with us, can you walk us through some of your preferred settings? Because I know there are tech audience in this channel, and one of our frequently asked question is settings, photo settings, video settings. Let's start off with photo.
So photo settings, raw. Whenever I can, I want it to be raw.
Mm.
I typically start at minus 0.5 EV comp just to make sure that I'm not blowing anything out. You know, my minimum ISO is 100, my max is 400, just in case I've got lighting changing throughout the time that I'm shooting. Sharpness, I always have on low. GoPro color is amazing. I love GoPro color, so I'll just leave mine on natural. Some people like to shoot theirs flat or something like that, but I just like that. I love the GoPro.
Natural.
I always have been a huge fan of it, so I leave it at that.
Cool.
And what's nice is
Yeah.
this, recorded. So take a screen capture of these settings, come back to this, cached if later, if you don't have to write these down. This is great, save it in your phone. And now you've got Tyler's
Screenshot.
preferred settings. Yeah. Screenshot it.
Yeah. Screenshot it. Tag us. Tag Tyler. Let us know.
And one thing that's nice
Video.
before Tyler gets into his video is with the new Hero 12 Black, you guys can create your own customized presets. You can name them yourself. So you could call this the Tyler photo preset, and you could create this
That would be
within
rad.
yeah, I'm gonna have the Tyler photo mode.
If you do take a screenshot it and then and text it to me on Instagram or something.
Perfect. I'll add it. So Tyler, could you give us a little bit of like, what are these 3 video modes and your preferred settings here, and why are these your 3 go-to settings for video?
So like I was saying earlier, the 5.3K 8.7 10-bit on. It's important to get the, as many colors as I can with and remove any banding that might be in the sky or anything like that that might show up. Even though I've never really had a lot of issues with that with any of my GoPro stuff before. But if I want to take shots from stills from a video, this is my go-to. I think I use this almost always on every vacation I'm on. 5.3K 8.7 30. And what's great about the 8.7 is you can crop from that for any aspect ratio for social. So you've got your square, you've got your 16:9, you got your 9:16, you got your 4:3. You can grab all those right out of the quick app, right? So you can just outsource anything out of that video. You can outsource a still to whatever aspect ratio you want for your social media. So you can grab that one moment in time that Ron was talking about earlier, where it's just that perfect moment where you've got the surface of the water and you've got everything that you want with your GoPro, and then you outsource, and then you have the quick app give you a rendered still image out of that. in whatever aspect ratio you're going to want, whether it's Instagram or
Sick.
Facebook or whatever. And so this is a huge one for me. I never thought that I was going to be a guy as a professional photographer who was going to enjoy doing stills out of video, but this has changed my mind.
Yeah, I've heard that quite a bit, Tyler. Like I've got some professional photographers coming up to me like, oh yeah, you know, they're not a fan of high resolution frame grab. But then, you know, when you see something like this, it's like, hey, you know, come on, you know, you're not gonna take a photo and then and at the end of it you don't get a video. So I think what we are I mean what GoPro is doing here is really marrying the best of both worlds, right? You don't have to fast run your camera, let it roll on the video mode, and then when you're done with it, pull that frame grab from that video. Simple as that.
And the benefit is you have that cool video for your video montage or your family video that you edit later on for the family, but you also have that still, and you don't instead have 250 stills from one roller coaster ride. Then you got to find the one, and then you probably end up holding on to the
Not
other
using the rest.
50. It's like just filling up a card. So
Yeah.
that's something that's important too.
Yeah, one quick call out too is that, you know, we throw up on this chart here, not just the 5.3K, but say you did you're doing something fast action, you wanted that 60 frames a second in that 4K 8x7 60. You can pull almost a 13 megapixel screen capture out of that 4K resolution. So you can see that obviously we go down a little bit in resolution, so does the photo, but it does give us more frames. So if you're doing something like this roller coaster and you wanted to ensure you got that perfect moment, now you've just doubled up and you're literally capturing 60 frames when you export it at 13 megapixels. So in 1 second, there'll be 60 frames for you to pull from. And I mean, tell me a camera that can fire 60 frames a second at 13 megapixels. It's pretty insane to be able to capture such high quality and still pull out a still even at that high frame rate.
I agree. That's awesome. And it's great too when you're working with some of these athletes where you want to be able to slow it down a little bit.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right, Tyler, thank you so much. I see there are some questions coming in. Derek's pumping in the chat as we start to open up for Q&A shortly. Tyler, can you just wrap us up with some of your last final words here, and then before we jump into the Q&A, because I know you've got this slide here, your last 3 tips that you want to share with us.
Yeah, so
tell me about it.
Clean your lens. There's nothing worse than, you know, going to get your shot. Unless you're at mountain games and you're in the mud run, then it's okay to have a little bit of mud on there. As Ron I think there's a shot of him in here coming up pretty soon doing that. But yeah, clean your lens. Looking into the sun with a dirty lens is never fun, and it's going to show all the dust and grime on your camera. So wipe it off every once in a while. Perspective.
Wipe it off every time before you press the shutter button. That's my tip. You know, before you press the shutter button, wipe it off.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many people you hear about from Abe all the time. People, you know, they submit videos for the $1 Million Challenge. It's a great shot, but there's a smudge on it, and like, oh, if you would have just cleaned your lens, then you know you would have had it. But you know, it's an important thing. It's almost kind of like you said, pull your lens out and just have it be something that you just automatically do. You can wipe it on your shirt, whatever. Just wipe it off, ready to go. Perspective, like I've already been talking about, perspective is the #1 thing with this camera for getting something that's exciting and fresh and new and immersive. All of those little things that we've been talking about. Really think about what you can do that's unique with this camera, and you'll see it right away when you start shooting with a GoPro, how much more you can do with it that's really unique. You can put it in really cool places. You can mount it. There's so many different mounts and accessories to help you get, no matter what activity you're in, to get something that's so unique that people have never seen before. Anyone can do it. All you have to do is just try and experiment with it and have fun. And that's where we go into the last one. It's, you know, it's not going to be any good for you if you're not having fun. It's not going to be any good for your kids if you all aren't having fun. So in the end, and that's what's great about being able to put your camera on you. It's attached to you. You're able to focus on the situation at hand, and you're not just a photographer walking around with a camera in everybody's face. And so having fun shows in your video too, because when people are all smiling and they're in the moment, you can tell, the viewer can tell. So having fun is important.
Sick. Thank you so much, Tyler. I really resonate with the last one. I think it's the emotions that you capture when you're having fun that really separates a dull moment from an epic moment.
Yeah, agreed.
All right, Tyler. Thank you so much for that. I think with the time that we've left, let's jump onto the live Q&A. For those of you, who don't get to ask us any of the questions, Tyler's Instagram handle has been up on screen almost the last 40 minutes. So, hey, I'm sure he appreciates a DM. If you have any burning questions about GoPro, go over to his Instagram, drop him a DM, reach out, shout out to him, say what's up.
I'm always here to help.
And yeah, what's up, Derek?
I don't think I've ever had such a case of FOMO during an event. I'm sitting here. I'm like, why did I tell them I was going to stay off camera? You guys are having fun over there. I'm like,
I was hoping you were just going to jump back in. I hope you
dude,
didn't.
Yeah.
I was
missing
gonna,
out.
and then I'm like, man, they're gonna hang my picture up in the GoPro headquarters. Like, if this guy ever contacts anyone, please we're going back to our cease and desist conversation for real. I'm gonna be banned. Tyler, our first question is from a Daryl Slossbender. How do I get in on that $1 million challenge? No, let me stop. That's super impressive, man. I actually do want to start there because it's like that's awesome, man. Not just one-time winner, two-time winner. What is your creative process like when you're just in general? I mean, going in and winning something like that is just incredible on an everyday basis. We're in a completely saturated market. It's so hard to stand out. What's going on inside your head when you're thinking of creating?
Well, that's a really good question, and I'm glad you brought that up because I didn't have time to go into this earlier. But this was a shared creative endeavor for me with an incredibly gifted skateboarder named Jeremy Green. He and I met up at the skate park, and we've been working together on and off for about, I think, 7 years now. It's been a long time. And so we've gotten to know each other pretty well. I've gotten to anticipate where he's going sometimes with what he's doing, which is great by just observing him skate. But it's his talent that has made my ability to use the camera so much easier. But it's the combination of the two that lend itself to us being able to do something that's unique. As you're talking about how everything's kind of already been done in some ways. And yeah, so here's some examples of some of the shots we've had. But
This was the first shot that you won, right, Tyler, in 2019?
This one right
This
here.
this
Yeah.
particular shot.
So
Yeah,
this
this
was
one
with the
right
girl.
here.
Nope, it was on the other side of that one, right past this. There you go.
There you go. Yeah, this. Damn.
So that's that whole getting low thing, keeping it as tight as possible. So the objective there was to put the camera in harm's way, have it going toward him to create that feeling of speed and perspective with the wood of the ramp coming by. So I wanted to put the camera out in harm's way, get it as close as possible to him, and then keep the camera following him as closely as possible. So the camera is doing a giant loop right behind him at as high speed as I can to try to keep him as close to the action as possible. So that was the first year. And then the second year, he called me up one day and he goes, Tyler, I think I have this idea. That's what this clip is right here. We'll just watch it real fast. Oh, that was where we're practicing it. So he's like, I've got this idea. I want to do a backflip and grab the camera.
Handoff.
And so
Wow.
I was thinking, okay, what am I going to do? Or I'm going to do a backflip and grab the camera. So I started thinking about all these ways that I could rig the camera to make it so he could just grab it. And it wasn't until the night before we did this that I realized, oh, I'm just going to hand him the camera. But the problem was he's going by at a high speed, upside down, and I've got to hand him a camera. It's not as easy as it seems. It's really hard. He's got to try to grab it blindly. And so you can see us dropping the camera multiple times trying to get it here. And it took us, I think it was 22 times, I believe, or 25 times. 25 attempts. You can see him. He's just almost got it. I grabbed it, but I didn't pull the backflip. Almost got it. I think there's a couple more of those here.
Whoa.
And so now he's just disappointed with himself because he's like, I got it, but I didn't pull the trick. And then right up here, and it was so perfect because he goes up on top of the ramp. I think it's right after this one. Goes up on top of the ramp and then yells back to me and he goes, Tyler, I think I got it. This one. Yeah, right here, you guys. This is gonna be the one. This is gonna be the one. It was. He totally got
I
it.
already lost
Right
count.
here.
I already lost count how many times you were up and down the ramp. Oh my God.
And there we go.
Ew.
And that's
Sick.
just mind blowing. And so for
That's
this,
awesome.
I mean, we couldn't do it without a skater of his ability to be able to pull that off.
So that's the unofficial tip number 4. You need more talented friends, everyone.
Now,
So-
in fairness to the $1 Million Challenge, you don't need a professional skater. I mean, I always use this as an example, but there's a cute little girl holding a chicken, and she's just so adorable. And that made it into the $1 Million Challenge too. All you really need is a shot, a shot that just that expresses the stoke, and something that fits in the edit, that you're lucky enough to fit in the edit. They need because every edit, as we all know, every edit needs to breathe too. It can't just be all full-time action all the time. We need something that can let the audience breathe a little bit. And so you need that quiet moment, or you need just a beautiful sunset or something like that. So anything can work, you know. It just needs to be a cool shot.
That's such a great point, man. And I think that's so understated in the creative industry at large, is having that breathing room. Not everything, it's not just banger after banger, and every frame is the one. It's like you need that setup, you need that relief, that breathing room that you say. And I wish more people would pay attention to that. That's a tip right there that a lot of people should really take into their creation.
And I do that even when I'm doing an edit with Jeremy Green, the skateboarder. I'll have a bunch of shots that are really high motion, high action, real close to him with that perspective that's really in tight. And then I'll cut to where I'll cut the music out and I'll just have like an ambient sound. And he's just doing a flip up over me super high up. And it's just blue sky and him going over in slow motion. And so it's the same thing. Even in that edit, I'm breathing, I'm allowing the audience to breathe.
Yeah, see what we're doing here. If we just keep getting him talking, I'm in next. I'm entering next year. Kind of playing off this. I was wondering the same thing, but we had a question come in on YouTube. What's everyone's favorite mount or most used accessories that you guys are pairing up?
You guys
Oh, you want to start?
Oh, you want me to start?
All right.
Well,
Tyler, you can go first.
In my videos, you've already seen the adhesive mounts. I use them a lot. You have the curved adhesive mount, so I'll put that on a ball. I don't know if I have one right around me, but there is a shot earlier where you see it on the actual ball. I'll use a curved adhesive mount on things like that. I'll use a flat adhesive mount when like on the shuffleboard puck that we saw earlier. The flex grip, this right here, when I saw this, I was blown away, because I just realized this solves so many problems in my life. Because what's cool about these is you can add more, and then you can twist them up into each other, and you can make this as long as you want. And yeah, like, and
awesome.
my vehicle that I drive in, I do a lot of off-roading. I have a Jeep Wrangler, and the interior does not take to an adhesive mount. You can't stick an adhesive mount to that interior. So this just became my best friend, and I'm able to wrap one of these completely around the center roll bar of my Jeep, and have a camera that's hanging down below that. And so I can get this cool over the shoulder shot that I was never able to get before. And then the other one is the extension pole. And I think Ron's got one right there.
Oh,
The extension
this,
pole.
yeah.
All of those top down shots, like with Sarah and the balloons, to shots
Whoa.
with Jeremy Green and with the GoPro Max and the $1 Million Challenge. That is a huge thing for all those cool crane shots, the bridge shot with the bike. That's going to be your best friend.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of that. I'm a big fan of that extension pole too.
Yeah,
Jordan.
going through those gaps is huge.
Sorry, I just interrupted you right when I stole your thunder there.
Oh, it's
but
okay.
but yeah, I love that extension pole, not only like you said, to create those cool immersive, like going through the gaps, going through those little small holes, but it does have a 1/4 20 action on both sides, so you can put it on directly to the 1/4 20, or if you have another camera that you want to put it on, it's nice because it does just give you that option. Also on the bottom, I love using the extension pole like as a secondary tripod. I just have a little base tripod, so if I'm doing time lapses, street lights, I can just put this pole into like a small base stand tripod. And now I've got, a tripod, whether I need it like a foot tall or I needed to go up to like 4 or 5 feet. And again, it's something small, compact, and I don't have to pack a giant tripod with me, and that I can use. I'd say like for me, my go-to one, I love the flex grip mount. Those, like, what's cool, those little gear ties are actually from a company called Night Eyes that have made gear ties forever. We just partnered with them to make like this cool 360 mount that then, to Tyler's point, can really be wrapped and strapped to pretty much everything. And even at those, high impact, use cases like, off-road jeeping, those things are going to just stay on as long as you just twist them up tight. But my go-to probably on the daily is what we designed originally for surfing, which is called the bite mount. Basically just looks like your classic, football type retainer, but has our nice little quick release. So you can slide it. Originally it was to go inside your surfboard, so you could be paddling out, catch that kind of, again, low shot up to the surfer. Hopefully you're getting barreled. Like me, you're probably just getting crashed in the face or tumbled, but it is nice because you can take it out, throw it in the mouth, so you can get that kind of that POV perspective. Or for me, it's that one, like when I'm just running around the park with my daughter, I can just have this in my pocket. Maybe I'm going to push her on the swings, or maybe we're going to go down the slide. I could just pull this out, throw this in my mouth, get the clip, put it back in my pocket. It doesn't take up a ton of room, gives me that cool immersion. But again, I don't have to be wearing a mount on my chest, or I don't have to have a helmet with stickies. It's just something that really hands-free and easy, and something that's become kind of my go-to for kind of that POV perspective, as long as I'm not needing to talk, because obviously get a little tongue twisted otherwise. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Tyler, next time you come on, you got to do the entire presentation with the bite mount. And
Don't tempt me. I might.
yeah, you know what? You probably could pull that off.
Yeah.
Ron, what are you using?
This is my go-to contraption these days. These days, I started a small YouTube channel and I do a couple of vlogs, and I kind of feel like, to Cohen's point and Tyler's point, it's almost like an all-in-one device. On one end, you've got this JAWS flex grip that allows me to clamp onto subjects and objects. And on the other hand, on the top half of it, it's actually the bite mount. So if I want to do a POV shot, I just pop it off. I get it in my mouth, and it's a bite mount. And then on the camera itself, it's actually the camera with the media mod. So I think for those of you who are interested in doing vlogs and want better audio quality, the Hero 12 with the media mod allows you to record both front-facing and back-facing audio simultaneously. All if you want it to be optimized, you can, or directional, you can say, okay, I want to optimize it for front-facing mic only, or if you're doing something and you're doing an interview and you only want to prioritize your voice, you can also do a back-facing mic. Either way, you have options to choose. These days, I'm actually using, I started off using the media mod a lot, and these days I'm trying to experiment with different things in the vlog when I'm not just talking handheld, I'm talking at a distance. So I'm actually using a third-party microphone, and the media mod allows for that, to hook up like a Rode wireless mic or something like that. So this is it, all in one package, that go-to device.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's like a handheld selfie grip. At the same time, you can also do like a static shot from right here. It's everything that you've ever imagined.
That's
Yeah, and the
awesome.
one thing I like
Super
about
clear.
exactly, and like I love about that JAWS too, it's got a little, rough band in there. If you're putting it on something cylinder like a pole, then you can tighten it down and really wrench it on there to get, locked on to whatever you need. It's by far one of those, like, any GoPro user just wants to capture that, second perspective, that third angle. It's just a super solid one to throw in the bag. And one call out about the media mod. I mean, I can't speak for Jordan, but I know, Ron and we're just running the GoPros. Like, this is our webcam right now. We use capture cards. We're coming right out of it because it has a built-in micro HDMI. So if you're looking to really up your game, get a more wide angle, more immersive, the GoPro can double as a webcam. So it's a great use case when we can't be outside. I just tend to use my GoPro because it's way better quality than my traditional webcam, and can also create this. I can't get this wide angle with my webcam either. So GoPro
That's
on the webcam.
awesome. Look, you guys have come, what is it, a little over 2 decades? You guys have come so far, and really all the different use cases. I would love to have you guys back on. There's so many things I've wanted, like so many questions I still have. I'm like, it's so cool. And there's so many options. And it's like you guys have come so far in terms of what you offer, the quality, the options. And I really think this is game-changing technology. Like you guys have said by now, it's the portability factor. It's that you don't have to carry the gear. Cohen, when you were talking about like, traveling, it's like the drone, and it's like, I have a drone that sits here. You know why? Because
Me
it's
too.
a pain. It's a pain in the butt. And I was looking at Tyler's stuff, and I had a when you said you want to keep it a mystery how stuff is shot. That's exactly the thing that pops into my head when I look at all your work. It's like, how? Some of the stuff, okay, yeah, you can figure it out, but some of the stuff, I'm like, no, come on, like what is he doing with it? And I think that's for me the big thing is you want that wow factor. You want everything you described that you can't get with the normal traditional setup that a lot of photographers and filmmakers and videographers are using nowadays. So this is great. You guys laid out a ton of information, some super cool shots, some video, the ability to do stills and screen grab. I love even the changing with the times to take a vertical out of the frame, which I think is another thing that's understated. But
It
look,
is. It is.
We
It's a
live in
huge
the land of
dilemma.
TikTok, all those.
Dude,
Tyler and I are going to start the TikTok dance off after this. So
let's go.
Watch out.
that's awesome. Look, I want to thank you guys again. This is awesome. Tyler, I'll see you in the next $1 million challenge. Now I'm going to throw one final question in. I think it goes without saying, but I have a 6-year-old, soon to be 7-year-old. I'm looking into one of these. What's the durability like? I mean, I'm sure Tyler's probably personally put this thing through the ringer.
It can handle anything. I tell people all the time, it is the greatest kid cam in the world because you can give it to them. They can point it wherever. They're getting good shots because of that wide angle lens. They're already low. So they got that whole thing I was talking about before about getting low. They've already got that going just because they're small people. So I think it's great. I've never had a problem with one with my child, and we shoot all the time. So
Yeah, and to give
ability
you
is
kind of
key.
the GoPro spiel on that side of things is we design it to be bulletproof to work for our athletes and the individuals that are really doing the things that are the most extreme, because we know if it's engineered for them, when we go out and I give it to my 18-month-old daughter and she trips and falls and she's this close to the ground, it's not gonna,
It's fine.
it's built, it's bulletproof, it's rugged and durable to 33 feet. So whether it's in water or taking in the bathtub, playing on the park, the nice part too is like what Tyler said earlier too, is it does have a removable lens. So if you were to ever do anything where you scratch that glass lens, we have a replacement part that's like just easily can be swapped off and changed. And that's nice
That's
to know,
awesome.
because like there will be those moments that you're going to put it in harm's way because you want to get that shot. Like maybe you want to get a slow motion shot of like a dirt bike tire spitting up the dirt. Maybe it throws a rock at it, but if you got the shot, it's worth a $10 replacement lens. So
That's right.
I
All
would
right,
say
I'm
for
sold. I'm sold. Stop. It worked. No, that all is great. I can stop buying cheap screen protectors on Amazon now. So there we
True.
go. No,
don't
this
degradate
was
your image quality.
there. Yeah, there we go. Right. And that's
That's
look.
right.
It used to be image quality used to be like a luxury before. Before it was like what, I'll take worse image quality if I can get somewhere. But you guys just keep upping the ante, and now it's so cool that you just see actual real professionals using gear to create every type of content, whether it's professional or just regular old fun stuff that you're going to share on social media, which is super awesome. So I want to thank the entire GoPro team. You guys have been great to work with in making this event happen. Of course, Tyler, dude, I've got no words. I mean, I look at your stuff and it's incredibly inspiring. Makes me want to go out and really just shake up even just a family vacation with my photo and video. So huge thank you to you guys for providing us with this wonderful content. Again, we do have a promo going on. It is live now. It is good until Sunday. So act fast. If you're watching this on the replay, you're gonna have to check the calendar. We'll get the date in there. But look, super affordable for what you're getting. So I'm gonna leave it right there. You guys have said enough, but we hope to get the GoPro team back on soon. We could dive more into the thousands of questions that I have waiting in the wings. So huge thank you to Cohen, Ron, and of course, Tyler for joining us today. The rest of the entire GoPro team behind the scenes that helped make this event happen. To all of our viewers out there, go buy a GoPro, go shake up your creativity, and we will catch you on the next edition of the B&H Virtual Event Space. Catch y'all next time.
You.
Thanks, guys.
You.